today, I don't know how this is going to turn out because I've just set it up and it's real weird, but forget about it. Today, what we're going to talk about is the pros and the cons of if it fits your macros. And you'll find that for every pro there's a con, and of course for every con there is a pro. Now before you can argue that just about everything you do is if it fits your macros, I am going to refer to like the full-blown weigh all your food up type, very stringent if it fits your macros. But yes, everybody essentially does if it fits your macros, whether you realize it or not. All the bros bagging on if it fits your macros and saying things like, well, I don't do if it fits your macros, I just eat clean food, or I just eat like 1,000 bananas a day, which is just, I don't even know where to begin on that whole thing. I'm not attacking anyone, I'm just saying. But like you essentially, it's weird to say even you just do it, alright? You do if it fits your macros and you just choose to, fill it with freaking bananas. Woo! I mean, to each their own. If you want to just eat bananas and do all that stuff, then that's all well and good. There's an all potato diet, I've seen that too. That's essentially, if it fits your macros, you just chose to fit your macros with a bunch of potatoes and your macros so happen to be like 1 million carbs. But that's not bad. It's not really good either. It also possesses strengths and weaknesses. We need to really approach things with a critical and very analytical eye here. For every good, there's a bad. For every bad, there is probably a good. And then you, as a person, need to come to a conclusion on, well, can I maintain that long term? Alrighty, so I've got 5 different pros and cons together, making up 10 points in total. So let's start with point number 1. The first major point, of course, is that if it fits your macros, IIFYM, if it fits into your mouth, allows for a flexible dieting practice, which is obviously very good. There is some pretty awesome research out there on how a less stringent diet is obviously more maintainable long term. There is also converse research out there showing that if you have too much flexibility, you'll actually make less progress than people who are on a more rigid diet. Mind you, there was a non-statistical significance between these two groups, and the difference was only 1 kilogram. But if you already have the tendency to overeat, if it fits your macros, might not be good for you. So this again pulls into some of the ignorance I'm seeing, where behavior eating is a very complex relationship between your behavior, what you perceive as a social norm, your physiology, of course, and all these things intertwine, and you end up eating food off your plate. Now, to just tell everyone to weigh out their food and if it fits your macros, everything, is ignorant to all these behavioral factors that influence your eating. Alrighty, let's go with pro number 2, and that is that if it fits your macros is a fantastic educational tool for the dieter. It really allows you to look at your food and you pump it into whatever freaking calorie counter you've got there, and it's going to estimate out the nutrient content of that food. And that is fantastic for the dieter, because now when you get to someone who's been doing it like me, I've been doing it for a very long time, I just look at food now and I'm like, well, that's a whopping no protein, and well, it depends what you're eating. But yeah, I can just look at food now and I just know, I think I know what's in it. So the counter argument can essentially be that you have to spend a lot of time doing this. Not everyone has the time to count and weigh every single little thing they eat. It's just not normal. Like, if you think that that's normal and you're cured to obesity or something like that, is everyone should just weigh their food. That's just not gonna happen. Not everyone's gonna weigh their food. Like I said, all these behavioral factors really influence eating. So if someone already has problems managing their food intake, weighing it out might be a tool to use to educate them, but most likely you're gonna be like, stuff this, I'm just gonna eat everything in sight. So the process is essentially reactive as well, which means that people's behavior will change depending on, the intervention. That's not bad, I guess, with your macros. You might eat less, but if you're someone who wants to gain weight and you just can't be stuff weighing out all this food, you're probably going to eat less and compromise those gains. So all of this, the mundaneness of counting, weighing it out, the time it takes, and the reactive nature of if it fits your macros might mean that someone cannot adhere to it long term, thus making it inappropriate for that person. Maybe other nutrient counting techniques might be better, like using portion size cues, eating off a smaller plate, using your fist, hand, stomach thumbs and fingers to count essentially all your food. So let's talk about the rigidity of if it fits your macros again in the third point. A lot of bro dieters, and I'm talking like chicken, broccoli, just flat out 24/7, 365, they really think that they're doing their body a service by eating this wholesome quote-unquote food, but in fact you're limiting your nutrient consumption by only eating a select number of foods, like the fish and a rice cake bloke.
Fish and a rice cake.
Which is just fantastic, isn't he? Or that 6 foods you can never eat I've seen where it's like sweet potatoes, like 24/7. That's really, really good that you can stick to something for so long without going absolutely bonkers. But you are limiting your nutrient consumption as a whole by just eating like 5 different foods. So whilst there is this increase in freedom with if it fits your macros, so with that third point being like it's not as rigid, so you can have this abundance of food, meaning that it's more than likely that you'll hit your required fruit and vegetable consumption. Like some bro diets don't allow fruit. Like what is that? Fruit is fantastic. Like let's look at the research on fruit and vegetable consumption, and for the most part it comes back with positive health outcomes. This freedom essentially means that it can be harder to augment changes in body composition because you're so free to just eat whatever the hell you want. So if you're someone who's less disciplined, this is going to be a major problem. I've noticed from experience with myself and people, not even clients, just friends that I've been like, hey, you should weigh up your shit. It's just not normal. They look at me like, you weigh your food? Like, what's wrong with you? This usually applies to those who are already lean, sort of educated and really, really like all the sciencey stuff and like, bodybuilding and flexing in front of the mirror. Now that's totally normal for me. Flex all the time in front of the mirror. These people are already interested in this thing. They're already interested in body composition alteration. Usually you're obese sedentary. If I'm talking to you and you're that obese sedentary bloke or chick, you probably don't want to weigh out your food. You probably just want to be told like, I want to eat these foods, help me lose weight. So I don't expect you to grab out a scale and do all that stuff. All right, the second last point number 4, and I think it's very, very important, especially anecdotally, I can tell you that right now. Your relationship with food is so much healthier. There's a point where you don't even think about food. You just like get to your next meal, and because you're enjoying the foods that you really like, even in a hypo, so deficit of calories, it doesn't feel like a diet. It just feels like you're eating less, if that makes sense. So to me, I perceive a diet like, oh my god, freaking chicken and more chicken boiled and steamed in different ways with some broccoli. Like just real old school brodus. Now this doesn't mean that it's all well and good and healthy. You can get to the point where you really obsess about these numbers and you can even think about food way too much, to the sense that like, well, this is 424 calories, 0.8 and 27.665 grams of protein, so I don't know if I can eat that now. That's not healthy at all. It's sort of counterintuitive in a sense. Like you've restricted all these foods on one hand with the bro diet where you're just like, well, I'm only gonna eat broccoli, sweet potato, freaking fish, and maybe some chicken if my coach allows me. And then on the other hand, you've got like, well, you better not step, 20 grams over on that meal right there in your protein, or you spontaneously combust. So it's sort of counterintuitive. A flexible approach is sort of, it's like not even real with if it fits your macros. Like it can almost be like a false flexibility. That's where you have to think about things like, well, maybe if I give myself a range, because you're never going to smack bang on 100 and whatever 0.648 grams of fat every day. Like you're going to need a range. So if you want to lose some fat, you probably don't want to you don't want to have like massive ranges. But if you're sort of in a stage where you'd like to gain some size, then maybe a larger range is more appropriate. So point number 5, and sort of wraps it all up. If you practice this type of flexible approach properly and not blatantly misinterpret it, like you can just be, already overweight and sedentary and just eat macros. You can. I'm not saying you can't. There's just some research on it. There's people who do it to show you that it's possible. But for long-term health, maybe it's not appropriate. Like you'd want to have more fruit and vegetables, because if you just had like an all Twinkie diet, some crazy diet where you just eat all biscuits or whatever. But that works. I'm guaranteeing you will lose weight, but you might compromise some lean body mass because there's not enough protein. You're going to compromise your micronutrients consumption. And from a behavioral perspective, is that really a good habit to get into? Probably not. Can you even adhere to that? If you made me eat biscuits like for my whole diet, I would get so sick of that, it would be ridiculous. So again, that's not really the the message of If It Fits Your Macros. The message is that you can eat like an abundance of food and still lose weight. And when I say abundance, I don't mean lots of calories, I mean lots of different foods, thus promoting like micronutrient sufficiency. So con number 5, sorry, it is by far the biggest con on of the whole If It Fits Your Macros thing. Now remember, I'm referring to If It Fits Your Macros as like the full-on If It Fits Your Macros where you weigh your food out. So if you think, well, it's not, just it's in reference to this type of If It Fits Your Macros, and this is the one that I see a lot of people recommend without any consideration for behavior. Essentially, it's really hard to maintain something like that. So maybe it's not realistic. If It Fits Your Macros assumes that everyone's eating behavior is the same, in that you'll just weigh out all your food and eat it, and then when you run out of food for the day, you just stop eating. As mentioned previously, eating is a complex interaction between our physiology and behavior. So too many people recommend If It Fits Your Macros without a significant understanding of health science and health behavior. And you hear it all the time, you can eat like pizza and lose weight. You can eat Maccas and lose weight. That's all well and good, and you can. But this could potentially be dangerous to their ill health already, and again, is ignorant to their behavior as a whole. Now, to conclude, I am a flexible dieting advocate. I recommend it not in the way that weigh this, do that, yada, yada, yada. Trying to alter someone's behavior is the first line of action. So thanks everyone. I hope you understand that you can't just go ahead and tell people to do this or that without a significant understanding of them. And you as a person, so if you're someone who wants to do this sort of thing, ask yourself, can I stick to it? Can I really weigh all this stuff out? Should I essentially fit my macros but do it in a different way, like use portion sizes, use my hands, fingers, arms and legs to track my food, as in like use that as a reference guide instead of weighing it out, use small plates and all that sort of stuff. There are lots of ways to do this sort of thing, and we'll talk more about it in other videos, but that's all the time I'm going to take for you today. So I'll speak to you next time I do a video. Thank you very much.